Hello and welcome to today's episode of Credit Chat Live. My name is Christina Roman and I am the Consumer Education and Advocacy Manager for Experian. And I'm joined by Rod Griffin, Experian Senior Director of Consumer Education and Advocacy. Now, this is a little bit of a unique episode for us because normally we are behind screens. Rod is based out of Texas, I'm based out of California, but we had a unique opportunity to be together at the Jumpstart Educator Conference. It's the National Educator Conference. And this year it is in Boston, Massachusetts. So we are coming to you from Boston, Massachusetts. Now, this episode of Credit Chat Live is also unique because normally we talk about, or we go in greater depth on a topic that we discussed that week in our weekly credit chat, which takes place on X. But we wanted to really take advantage of this opportunity. There are more than 300 teachers that have gathered in Boston who specialize in financial literacy in their communities. And so we wanted to take the time to get to know a few of these teachers a little bit better and to get a better understanding of the work that they're doing, what's going on in their community, and how we can better serve them. So I'm thrilled to be joined today by Kerri Herrild. She is here from Pere High School in De Pere, Wisconsin. And not only is Kerri passionate about the work that she does in financial literacy, today she is head to toe in financial literacy swag. She's wearing these epic shoes. I wish we could zoom in on these shoes. So her sweatshirt says Finlit Family, but these shoes have money bags on them and dollars. And so I just love that you are head to toe in full spirit of financial literacy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're going to go to a national conference, you have to dress for it. Right?
Yes.
And honestly, it was kind of a strange thing today because I was like, okay, I should probably dress up. Like, this is a pretty big deal. But then I was like, but my sweatshirt fits
Yeah, it's
so well for this theme. And so I was like, I'm doing it.
I love that. No,
Yeah,
we didn't
you're
want this to be super formal. We wanted it to be a fun conversation. And I just love that you came in ready to go for it.
Sure.
Can I use that excuse later today for the dinner? Because I was told I have to wear a suit, and my suit almost fits.
I mean,
Sure.
wear it's a loose dress
All right, I
code.
don't know about the button in the jacket. May not happen tonight. That's all I can tell you.
So, Kerri, I would love for you to start by sharing how long have you been with Jumpstart? And you are an ambassador this year. I don't know if you've been an ambassador past years, but I would love for you to share kind of that history with Jumpstart.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been teaching personal finance for 20 years, and it's always been my passion. But I will say that my professional life really changed when I connected with two different organizations. The first was Next Gen Personal Finance. When I got on board with them, I found my people, so to speak. And it was a small group of us who came together, got some intensive training. And then I was introduced there to Jumpstart. And they said to me like, well, have you been to the national conference? And I said, well, no, I'm just, a lonely teacher in De Pere, Wisconsin, teaching personal finance. Like, I'm the only teacher teaching it in my district. I'm just doing my own thing. And yeah, I saw advertisements for national conferences, but like, dude, I'm not that special. And so they were like, no, Kerri, you really need to apply to the Jumpstart conference. And so I did. And so my first conference was in 2018, I believe. And when I say that I found my people, I found more than my people. That's why I'm wearing this Finlit Family. I mean, we have matching sweatshirts for this event because being the only teacher in my district who was teaching this, it can feel really lonely and it can feel hard. And there was a point that I considered leaving education. I thought, well, I know what I'm doing matters to these kids, but it's so much work. It's so much work all by myself. And so when I found Jumpstart and I found their entire wealth of activities that they have, and I found Next Gen Personal Finance and their wealth of activities, and I was just introduced to this world. And Rod, this is a separate story. I remember that first conference coming to your session on credit, because every year you do a session on, the latest and greatest. And I felt like the most special person because I was in a room with like an Experian official. Like,
Oh, God
this
help
is
us.
seriously, like, that's how I felt. Like, oh my gosh, this is a national speaker from one of the 3 credit bureaus. Like, this is big time. And it was overwhelming.
Can I take you home and have you tell my grandkids this and my kids? Because that's all I want. That I tell people. It's like, I don't really care about anybody else. We're here to help you, and you're what this is about. I just want my kids to believe I'm important, and they don't. It's like I take you home and tell them he really is very famous. I tell
he's
in a
pretty
very
big deal.
small group of people, I'm very famous. I guess I don't know,
Yes,
but it's
yes.
like tell my kids that. And otherwise, I am really
right,
not that. I'm
all
really
right.
big a deal.
After we're done with this, we can face.
Okay, we'll do that.
Show them a video.
Where I'm showing them
You gotta
this.
send them this podcast.
They're getting this, although cut out this part, my part, just leave Carrie in there. Okay.
Yes. So
Thank you for that, though.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's, it's just like all of a sudden I felt so important. Like, again, I'm just this teacher and just doing what I can at my own school. And then to be part of this community was just really, really powerful.
That's awesome. Now, you said you've been teaching financial literacy for 20 years. What was it? What made you want to do this?
Yeah, I knew that it was important. The reason why I went into business education was I felt like, number one, I'm not going to be teaching the same thing year after year after year because it's always changing and I would get bored. Number two, it's applicable. It's relevant. And I wouldn't have to worry about answering questions about when am I ever going to use this again, because business runs our entire world. So that's what attracted me to the business education side of things. Personal finance, though, is, in my opinion, the most powerful class that we can teach young people. I mean, health is right up there. Obviously, we need our kids to be able to read and write, those types of things. But by the time they get up, I think it should be started at early levels. But I'm in the high school, right? So from that perspective, by the time they get up to us, what does every single kid have in common? Whether they're going into the workforce, whether they're going to college, whether they're going to, a community college, a trade school, specialized training, an apprenticeship, the military, we all have to deal with money. And so I just felt like, what class could we offer that would be more important? And at that time, we weren't offering it yet. So it was during my first year at De Pere. We were kind of looking at curriculum and where there might be gaps in our curriculum. And I said, I really think we need a personal finance class, and I would totally take that on. And so that's how it really started.
I love that you spearheaded that because you know that need exists.
For sure.
So good on you for that. Yeah. Now, Wisconsin has steadily been expanding their financial education requirements. So how have you seen that progress in those requirements affect your students in your local schools?
Yeah, it's been such a cool process to see. Wisconsin has been, I would say, on the progressive side of things. We didn't have a requirement until December of 2023, but I think it was around 70% of schools in the state were already requiring it anyway. It was really a grassroots effort over many years through the state to just get more and more schools on board. And it's one thing that at a local level I did fight for. And I'm in a very, very high performing school district, which is amazing. But every school district has, just like we in our personal budgets, we all have that nut that we have to work with, right? And their priorities were different. They were really focused on, advanced placement courses and things like that. And we need that too. Absolutely, we do. And so The priority just hadn't been there at the local level. And so when there was the opportunity to go to the state and start advocating there, I was like, yes, I'm in. How can I help? What can I do? And there was a small group of us, 4 teachers, who really kind of spearheaded that group. And first time we went, we spoke to the Education Committee of the Assembly, and it was crazy. We had some representatives who were completely opposed. And I guess what you need to know is, so we already did have, it was called a soft mandate in place. And basically what it had said was, you need to teach financial literacy, K-12. That's no specifics, right?
Yeah.
It was an amazing stepping stone.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. But in all honesty, you could teach kids to count money. Check.
Yeah.
So it wasn't being done well, I would say, in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe fairly equally, across the state. So that was our fight. We went into the assembly and they said, we already have a mandate. Why would we do this? And some of us brought in students to speak. And I think it was truly the student voice that carried the loudest. That year, it did die in committee. But at the same time, we did have assembly people who told us, you changed our mind today. Mm. And so I think that student voice really carried the teacher voice, just sharing what we see in our classrooms. And so anyway, it died in committee in 2022. We came back in 2023, spoke with the assembly again, and then the Senate. It passed with overwhelming support in both, and then onto the governor's desk. And when I say that, it makes it sound like it was easy, but it so wasn't easy. No. And honestly, if I hadn't had this community, this Finlet family, who is so, Jumpstart is such a huge part of this Finlet family, I don't know that I would have been able to continue the fight. Mm-hmm. We support each other. And that's why I would say to teachers who are feeling like, well, what I'm doing isn't that important. Like, I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
But it's critical.
It's critical. Mm-hmm. It is.
It's absolutely critical. You touched on something else that's important. Mm-hmm. I mean, about 30 states now have some sort of requirement. Mm-hmm. And as you pointed out, they can be all over the map. They can be very detailed, specific. It can be a full semester requirement. Texas just announced that they're going to do that. Just passed a bill. Mm-hmm. Others are count change. I mean, whatever it might be. What is, in your view, necessary for effective quality financial education? What components do we need?
So Tim Ranzetta of Next Gen Personal Finance made this quote one day, and it just stuck on my heart. And if you have a committed and knowledgeable and excited teacher, you will have an effective personal finance classroom. And you would have any classroom, right? I mean, so I think a huge part of this is, I think 90+% of Americans would probably agree, we all should know how credit works. We all should know how investing can grow our wealth over time and provide us financial security. We need our young people to understand options that they have for post-secondary, choices and how to pay for those. They need to understand how taxes work and how to read their pay stub, mm-hmm. And that they should read their pay stub mm-hmm. and live on a budget. All of those things, I think everybody can agree on that piece. I think one of the pieces that needs more attention, especially because we have all of these requirements being passed, there are a lot of teachers out there who are being voluntold. This is now your class.
What's maybe next?
and you're an adult, so you should know this stuff. Nobody taught us, right? And we've learned by making mistakes. I feel like the missing piece is more of what's going on at this conference, more teacher education, more professional development that helps us improve our own content knowledge so that we can feel more confident in front of our students. Because so many teachers go into this saying, I'm not telling my kids what I've done. I mean, my finances are so messed up. How am I supposed to teach them? And it can be a very intimidating topic for a lot of people. And I just wish people could understand, like, teaching this class is a privilege. It will improve your own financial life so much. Kids will want what you have to say. They want to know it. They want to learn more about it. Parents are going to want to know more. But I think another piece of that is you're not always going to have the answers, but that's okay too. Yeah. And helping teachers understand that. And I think of especially young teachers, like, I don't know what I don't know, right? I mean, that's just how it is. And that's okay. Just help them understand that is okay. And here are lots of places for information. And here are teachers who are willing to help. And, I think developing these communities is critical. And I think that teacher education piece is critical, because if you can have that knowledgeable, excited, teacher in the classroom, it's not going to be difficult for the kids to grab onto it.
No.
So, yeah.
Now, as somebody who is passionate about financial literacy and excited, so you are that teacher for so many of your students. Now, what strategies have you found to be most effective in relaying these important topics to your students?
Yeah, so for me, it comes down to telling stories, sharing stories. So personal finance is very personal, and money is so emotional. And a lot of their parents don't want to talk to them about their money. And I understand. I get it. As a parent myself, it can sometimes be hard to share things with your kids. And so I show them my pay stub, because I work at a public school. It's public record. They could look it up if they wanted to, so we look at my pay stub and we break it down, and we compare, gross pay to net pay. And we look at, okay, what am I actually paying for, and what is the school district paying for on my behalf? And just so many conversations open up with that, and taxes and all the things, right? So that's kind of where we start. In the first week of class, we look at my paycheck. And then I start asking them, because a lot of them have jobs. I teach juniors and seniors. And so, when have you looked at your paycheck? So read through it, and then we go into taxes from there. We cover all of these real life things. And so I tell my own real life stories. And I tell the kids, I share my credit score. And then I say, you can ask your parents to share theirs, but they don't have to. And you have to be okay with that, because that is personal to them. And so I want you to understand this from an adult who's established in her career. This is what an adult paycheck, this is what an adult credit score looks like. This is what, these situations are. I show them my retirement account, all of these things. And I feel like if I can share my story, at least they're seeing, again, that real life example, without necessarily having to force the parents into sharing theirs if they're not ready. But at the same time, I do encourage the talk at home.
So several things. One, you are very courageous. Do you understand how many money taboos you're breaking? Because people just don't do that. but also encouraging the students to talk to their parents. And that's one of the things we ask a lot, and I ask a lot, is do you see parents' behaviors, or is there any evidence that what you're teaching your students changes parents' behaviors too, or adults in their lives?
Sure. For sure. We call it the trickle up effect,
Yeah.
because kids learn it and then they bring it home and teach it to their families. I have so many stories. One of the coolest stories is a student who, an immigrant family, and he was like, I need to set up a savings account. And I was like, yeah, you do. I think that's a great idea. And, I was able to help connect them with our local credit union. And then mom and dad also set up accounts, and so the student was going home sharing that information, and it changed things for them as a family, which is amazing. But one thing that I do, kind of, I guess, a teacher pro tip, is I started doing this probably 3 years ago. At the end of every single unit, I create like a newsletter. I prepare the bottom part of it, right? And I give parents notes from me, things that they need to know, things that are helpful to know. So, for instance, busting some myths, like, did you know that 35% of your credit score comes from just paying your bills on time? And things like that, so just little tidbits that I think are important, helpful for them. But then the top part of it is the students have to fill out 3 things. There's 2 columns. There's a did you know, and they have to list a fact about personal finance from that unit. And then they can either put a description in their own words or a link to a resource that talks about that fact. And it's a lot of work, I'm not going to lie. The kids go through and they save it as a PDF and they email it to me, which then I email home to the parents. But I have received so much positive feedback from that. Those newsletters are amazing. In high school, we don't reach out to parents anymore. We don't. And quite honestly, in the elementary school, you have 20 to 30 students all day. I have 125 students in a day, because of class sizes and so on. So, that's it's a different lift when you're in the high school. But I had parent-teacher conferences last week, and I had so many parents who were like, we love the newsletters. We love them. It gives us something. It gives us conversation starters.
Yeah.
And so, and so many of them too are saying, gosh, I wish I had this class. I wish I could take this class.
Yeah.
And I have these big grand dreams. Like there's so many cool things that we could do, and, have students setting up like little seminars for parents or something. Like, the reality, I don't have enough hours in the day to develop all of these things, but there's so much progress that has been made, but that we can still make.
I definitely see why you're an ambassador for Jumpstart. I mean, we often talk about the reach of this conference and 350 teachers, but then you alone going and advocating at your state. So how many students are you reaching, every single year in your school, advocating across your entire state? Like, that's incredible. And you say that you're just a teacher. No.
That's such an understatement.
Yeah.
Massive understatement.
But you guys have to also understand, when it comes to the daily, and I told some of my parents this during parent-teacher conferences. I had several this year, especially. There's been more and more news about how, I helped advocate at a state level, and a lot of parents thanking me for those efforts. And truly, I need to say that is one of my, it's really my professional accomplishment that I'm probably more proud of than anything, was getting that bill passed, because it was a hard fight, and I do know the scope of it. But at the same time, on the daily, I'm in my classroom slugging out lesson plans, grading the daily work, right? And that's what I told the parents was, thank you. you know, and I told my kids this right before coming to Boston, like, guys, I'm going to this conference. Like, it's kind of a big deal. Like, we're talking about credit right now. And I was like, so Experian is going to be doing this podcast. And I had a couple kids that were like, can we listen to it? And I was like, well, it won't be live, but I said, yeah, whenever it comes out, we can definitely do that. And, you know, and I'm like, but the thing is, like, on a national level, that's all very cool. And it's awesome to hear you say that. And I appreciate it so much. But it comes down to that daily interaction with my kids, and that's what we're all doing, you know, and that's what it takes. And I guess that's part of the message to other teachers, and maybe especially some of the younger teachers, like the impact that you are having, you won't know for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
When those kids start coming back to you and saying, you know, oh my gosh, I still track, you know, expenses, or I still focus on this, or I still remember that story. And that's when you see it, right? And I've been doing this for a long time. So it's taken a long time to kind of to build up this recognition, which again, it feels wonderful, but it's a little weird. Because because it comes down to still, it's the day-to-day in the classroom, and none of it would be true if I weren't in that classroom on the daily, and then meeting with those parents and having parents who want to help their kids, and yeah.
See, and I think, and that's another thing that, and I say this, and with great respect to my chemistry teacher, she was fabulous, or Mr. Z, my physics teacher. I don't remember almost nothing about those because I don't use it every day. But personal finance, we do. And I think that's one of the real pieces that we're missing in the industries. We don't have any really good longitudinal research and data. We kind of intuitively know, and we hear from you and other teachers, and that they're still remembering what they've taught because they're using what they're taught.
Yeah.
And I would love to see longitudinal, just like years of research, because that's one of the arguments is that I hear that, you know, when you go to a state assembly or a legislature and they say, well, you know, they're teaching all these other things and you won't use this and you'll forget it. Because we look at the test that you took, 6 months after you graduated or 3 months after you took it. And then I say, that logic would mean I should have skipped most of high school. But I pull the credit card out now and I remember, or I went to buy a house 25 years ago and I remember. So it's something that will come back to you. And I always find that logic so flawed when they tell me, well,
I guess
it's something we'll remember.
One of the things off of that I often think of is the idea of mission statements of school districts, you know, even state departments of education, you know, individual high schools. It's all going to be something to the effect of preparing kids for life. I mean, that's really, if you boil down all of the wordsmithing that goes on with a mission statement, it's preparing kids.
Yep.
And again, if we're not giving them this basic understanding, because our parents didn't have this, and oftentimes parents aren't equipped to be able to do this. One of my go-to statements when I was testifying to the legislature was about the idea of generational poverty. If you're living in generational poverty, all you see is living paycheck to paycheck, relying on alternative lending options. Just that's what you see, so that's what you know. But when you know better, you can do better. And so how will we ever make an impact on things like generational poverty without something like this? This can be the one class that sparks. And oftentimes it's the kids who are disengaged in other classes who are sitting through chemistry thinking, I don't care. And school is hard anyway. And then this content is really, really hard. You know, why? Why am I even here? Why am I doing this? This is stupid. Right? And I can see why they feel that way, because they've been through, 10, 11 years of school, and it's never felt good for them because it's been hard. And now they get to this class and they're like, oh, but like I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Right? I can, even if they don't understand amortization, that's okay. Mixed in with all of that are these just foundational pieces. And speaking of Jumpstart, Laura Levine had done a podcast with Tim Ranzetta a few weeks ago, and I was listening to it right before I came. And she talked about that idea that the foundational concepts have not changed. They're as old as time. It's technology has changed. Ideas have changed. The way we do this has changed, but we should still spend less than we make. We should still, if we borrow money, pay it back how we promised to, save for a rainy day. All of those things. I mean, none of it is new. And I tell my students too, like, you guys, we could call this class Applied Common Sense. Like really, that's kind of what we've got going. And so, so it's so much power in this course.
Yeah. Now, given so many positive steps in the right direction regarding requirements for financial literacy, what gives you the most hope about the future of financial literacy?
Yeah, looking into my kids' eyes, into my students' eyes, and seeing them engage in this. Like, they see the importance of it. And I just hope, some of my fears include the teacher shortage. Who will continue this fight? But then I think, there are organizations like Experian, like Charles Schwab has a foundation. So many of these financial organizations who want to support the financial education piece. So even if these people aren't going necessarily into the classroom, but they're still supporting financial education, I think that gives me hope. And I think the other piece of it is, as teachers, we don't know the power we have until 10 years later, if that. I don't think we're going to see the true impact of this movement of states requiring this for another generation.
No. I think that's been, Jumpstart's now just about 30 years old. And I've been around it for 27 of those years.
Sure.
So and we're at 30 states.
Yeah.
And we now feel like we're at a moment of opportunity where, with what feels like a lot of chaos in the economy these days, maybe that's one of the benefits, is that we're all focused on how do we help people learn, be able to make the right decisions. And that starts with the kids, and then to help the kids, we have to start with you, the teachers. And so thank you for all you do.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you for supporting us as teachers. Some of the videos that you guys have out are amazing to be able to bring into the classroom, things like that. I use your resources in class, and I think anytime we can get, as teachers, help from the outside, like getting foundations and the actual financial institutions giving us valuable things that we can use that are updated and ready to go. That's such a gift to us, because there's some bad stuff out there. There's a lot of bad stuff out there. And so knowing that we have reliable sources of good content is really important. So thank you for that. Thank you for being a sponsor of Jumpstart all these years. You talk about the impact one teacher can have, but truly the impact that your involvement with Jumpstart has had over thousands of teachers, which then multiplies to tens of thousands of students. It's truly, I often use the term, it takes a village, and they say that about parenting and child rearing. It does. It takes a
Yeah.
village, but it also takes a village to do this job. And you guys are part of that village. And so thank you for advocating for us as teachers as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. My goodness, Carrie, you've been amazing. This has been an amazing interview, and I hope that, anybody that tuning in feels inspired to support Jumpstart in any way that you can, support these incredible teachers that are truly passionate about the work that they're doing, that want to make a difference in their students' lives. And I love that applied common sense term because it's so true, that money really does come down to common sense, and how you apply it is really important. So thank you for the incredible work that you're doing. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Credit Chat Live. I hope that you'll look for the other videos that feature teachers as well from this conference, because I think you'll learn a lot about the issues that they're facing, the important work that they're doing, and how they're applying these lessons in their classroom. And then again, hopefully feel inspired to continue to support them. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode, and I hope to see you in one of our weekly Credit Chat conversations on X. They take place at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and they cover a wide range of financial topics. So I'm sure we'll have a topic coming up that you may be interested in tuning into. Thank you so much, and have a great day.